Hi, welcome to Still Finding My Voice. Today's guest is someone who left a lasting impression on me long before we sat down for this conversation. If you danced at Jazz Etc. when I did, then you absolutely knew who Dolly was. She was one of the senior principal dancers, elegant, poised, disciplined, and mesmerizing to watch. I remember looking up to her so much as a young dancer because she carried herself with this incredible grace that made ballet feel magical. Since those years, Dolly has built a life that beautifully blends artistry, education, preservation, and purpose. From dancing with the Zurich Opera Ballet Company to teaching at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, to pursuing a vision to open Pilates studios in Kenya, her journey is such a powerful example of how our passions evolve over time. Today we're talking about dance, discipline, Ricky Lugo, healing, and the ways certain dreams quietly stay with us for years before we understand why. Dolly, I'm so honored to have you on Still Finding My Voice. Welcome.
So first of all, I want to say that was such a glorious introduction. I don't think I've ever had anyone introduce me with such grace and saying so many beautiful things. I want to say this, that I'm perceived like that maybe by you and maybe others, but in my mind, I'm just me, right? So our perception of ourselves and the perception that others have of you, completely different. And, the way we were raised and how I was always taught that humility was the most important. So people always thought I was standoffish, but I wasn't. I was just shy. I remember when the guy came to my house and said, "Oh, Mrs. Kelepecz, do you want your daughter to take ballet classes?" I was literally behind my mom's skirt going, "No, mommy, no, mommy, no," because I was like, yes, I was like, it was that my mom doing that really kind of molded me into who I was going to be. So yes, I want to kind of start I have to back up a little bit because I want to say how I got introduced to Ricky Lugo. And I know that she was on this podcast and she was my teacher, my mentor, my friend, my colleague, my mom. We all have a dance mom, right?
Right.
So many things. And I know she was that for so many people.
Right.
So I need to back up because, Shirley Temple was my model. I think there are so many artists that go, "Oh, well, I wanted to be just like Shirley Temple. I wanted to dance like her and sing." I used to wake my dad up on the good ship and on Sunday.
Lollipop.
Yeah. And head tumble out of bed. I would sing all these songs and my dad is Sunday morning going, "Hi." So I was always going to do what my mom decided I was going to do. She knew that I needed to do that, right? And had a really great ballet teacher. And you need to understand that in those days, ballet, when you took ballet, you didn't take anything else. Couldn't take jazz, couldn't take modern, couldn't take tap, So if you chose ballet, then ballet was the thing. You didn't actually do anything else, right? So I started in taking ballet in a small studio. I must have been good, but I was very, very tall, right, Lynn?
Now, how tall are you, Dolly? Because you're sitting down right now.
Yes. So on point, I was 6 foot tall. And when I was 13, I was 5'7" or 8. That's really tall.
So you really shot up. And on point, for the audience, that's ballet on your toes.
Yeah. And, I had this opportunity to dance for this company in Los Angeles with all of the original Russian ballet Russe, David Lashine, Tanya Rybachitska, Irina Kosmovska. I mean, I was just blessed that I could be there. And I was a giant and they looked at me like, "You're a giant." I don't know what to do with you. But they decided to put me with the older people. So now I'm 13 and they have me dancing with people that are 17, 18, 16. And I just
Wow.
felt like I was so bad.
Oh,
I was always, like, why can't you do that? Do that.
right.
Well, long story longer, dislocated my knee in class, like, because those days, the
Oh,
Russians, it was like turn out, turn out. You just turned out.
and you really turned out because you dislocated it.
Yeah, dislocated my knee.
Oh,
And the male principal dancer came and swooped me up off of the floor and carried, because I was like, oh my
sounds so
God,
romantic.
this was so worth it. I dislocated my knee. I was like, Larry Rosenberg is carrying me to my mom. It was great. So anyway, I had to recover from all of that. And that recovery and it was a kind of a mental recovery too, Lynn,
Right.
because ballet is harsh and you're perfect or you're never perfect. So you better just keep
Mm,
working on it because you're
mhm.
still not perfect, right?
So true.
Yeah. And so I kind of was like, I'm stopping ballet. I'm not doing ballet ever again. And I was 15 years old, right? So I'm not doing this anymore. I decided I was going to work for Disney. So I auditioned, got a job. I did really, I got jobs. That was the thing. There were jobs to get and I got jobs. Then I was like 17 years old and I had this friend that was working at Disneyland with me. And she said, why don't we go to jazz class? There's this jazz teacher. And I
Oh,
was like,
no.
ooh, jazz,
Forbidden.
right? So I'm like, wow, okay. And that's how I met Ricky. And
Mm,
I had never taken jazz before. And it was just, she was so welcoming and so open and so positive. I'm really telling you, this woman was magical for dancers. Nowadays we think like, you got to get poked or beat or told you're crummy or bullied or whatever. But I didn't respond very well to that stuff.
no,
I
I didn't
responded to
either.
Ricky. She was the best. And as a tribute to her, I have to tell you this. I just retired from UNLV and I was a full-time professor for 40 years. So I just retired and my retirement piece that I did was called Can't Dance My Way Out of a Paper Bag.
I love that.
And I asked the guy who works in the office at the dance department if he would please be the star. And he was going to be sitting at this desk and we were going to put a screen over the top of it so you could just see his pantomime inside, like he
Oh,
was,
right.
right? But the funny part about it was I did all dated jazz. So I was copying things that I learned from Ricky in 1976,
Uh,
77, 76, 75, like even earlier, maybe 70, like through high school. That's another thing. When you get to be 70,
I cannot believe you're 70.
you can't remember anything, right? You can't remember dates. I don't remember dates. I kind of remember, but not really. But anyway, a long time ago. It was a long time ago. And so Ricky, that's how I met Ricky. And I know that you heard her fabulous. She was the generation before me, actually, and had so many opportunities because Hollywood, it was the golden age of musicals.
Right.
So she was really like a god, when I looked up to her. And she had jazz, etc. I think when I was there, we weren't in Monrovia at the time. We were taking
Oh,
classes someplace else, but then
mm,
we ended up in Monrovia and she was always a positive influence, always told me, Dolly, you need to audition for this. Her husband, Bill, Dolly, we've got to get you a Z card. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's the card that you audition with. In the olden days, you gave them your resume on a Z card. And they really mentored me. And I thought, why are they spending so much time on me? I
uh,
never really kind of got it. Not
they
really.
did that with each one of us. That's how loving and giving they were, Dolly. I felt the same way. Not having, male role models. Bill would come in and look over our resume and, give us advice on what to put on there. They're
Yes.
beautiful. So supportive.
I ended up teaching in the small studio downstairs. I never taught, but she trusted me. So, ultimately she looked at me and she said, "You should be the white cat in Cats, but you won't audition. You're not going to do it. So you need to go to Vegas." And I was like, "I go to Vegas? I'm from this Christian family. It's like, we don't even drive through Vegas. So now I'm going to go to Vegas." And she goes, "Yeah, you're going to stay at my friend Nancy's house and she's organizing an audition for you." And I was like, "Okay, guess I'm going to Vegas." So I told my mom and dad, and my mom was like,
Right.
my dad was like, "Whatever." So I got to Nancy's house and they were so kind to me. I spent the night at this lady's house I didn't even know. And she had set up an audition for me at Bally's at that time, which has had 20 billion names since then. So
Mm.
I can't even tell you. They didn't implode it, but it's had lots of different names. So it was at, no, it was called the MGM Grand, which then was Bally's, which then, and now it's the Horseshoe. So MGM Grand was called Hallelujah Hollywood. And she said, I had a private audition with the company manager, director,
Wow.
all because of Ricky. And in
Mm.
2 weeks, they called me and they said, "We want you in the show. We don't have a position that we want to give you, but we're just going to give you this other position so that you can actually be here and then we'll move you up."
And you're like, wait, what? First?
Right. And then I didn't know that they had topless dancers in Vegas. So when I got there, this was so I got to Vegas. I have all my stuff. You had to go up in the light booth, So I was going to have rehearsal in between shows. So I'm sitting up in the light booth and
So innocent.
yeah, really, honestly. Yes. And I'm looking and all of a sudden these girls come out and I'm like, they don't have any clothes on. What did I sign? It's not what I'm doing. I mean, it wasn't, but I was up there the whole time after that. I was sitting up there going, which contract did I sign? I didn't even read the contract. I just signed the contract. What am I going to do? And you become quickly desensitized to that whole idea of toplessness, when you work in Vegas for a very long time, which I did. I became the principal dancer at the Lido, which was at the Stardust, and I sang and I danced and
I didn't know you sang in the show too.
yeah, well,
Wow.
lots of time it was on a click track, but every once in a while that click track would go down and you were going, "Birds do it, bees do it." Wow, okay, even educated, please do it. You had to just sing it, right? So,
Right.
yeah, because it was live. That was live music back then, and they would try to have audio click track just to keep it consistent, but sometimes click track wouldn't work.
Technical difficulties, like
Yes.
Dolly and I have had
We
technical
understand.
difficulties.
It's taken us 3 days to get to this.
Absolutely, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for your perseverance.
No, please. This is fun for me. You can ask anybody who knows me. Anytime I get to talk, I'm in heaven.
Well, talk on. I'm in heaven too, listening to these great stories.
Yeah. So, it was, so I was at Hallelujah for like a year and a half, 2 years. And, I had great expectations. Now I knew because I was in the professional field and I knew how good I was because I didn't really know. And by Vegas standards, I was like, well, dang, I'm good. Right. So I thought, well, I want to do more than this. So I anyway, I sold everything that I had, collected all the money, put on my Mouton fur coat with a bag, got a round trip ticket on Freddie Laker Airlines, which was an airline and it was open-ended. So you flew to Europe.
Right.
Yeah, you could fly to Europe. And then whenever you want to come back, you just come back.
Choose your date. Right.
So my friend was living in Paris and I thought, well, I'll go to Paris and I'll just audition for stuff and take classes. And so I stayed with my friend and that's what I did. I just left.
Let me ask you this for clarification, Dolly. That was after the Lido or it was before?
No, before the Lido.
Before the Lido. Okay, go ahead.
Europe boosted me to a whole nother status in Vegas.
Wow.
Because I was hired to do a vaulting horse act, so ballet on horseback. And people are just like, what?
I think I remember seeing you do that.
Yeah, because there was a big I was in the Variety newspaper in LA.
Mm.
Circus. The circus was very, very famous. It was a one-ring circus. A lot of movie stars would come to the circus and see us. Charlie Chaplin he came all the time. He was still
Oh,
alive.
wow.
Yeah, so I did that, and then I was kind of discovered by the Zurich Opera Ballet, which was a Balanchine company, and Patricia Neary was the one who was kind of directing that company. So I was in the circus for a year. I had my own act on horseback, and then I had the girl who did the elephant act, she got hurt. So I said,
You want to do the elephant act? Because you love animals and you knew you could.
yeah, I really, really did. So there's so many stories, circus stories. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness, so many stories, but I won't talk about all of them. I mean, so I had an elephant act too, which was amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And then joined the ballet company. We performed all over Switzerland. And then I went home. And when I went home, Lynn, I never auditioned again for anything. It was pretty amazing.
Okay, and I have to interrupt you and say, for those of you that are watching this podcast, Dolly was always so humble and very elegant. You never know that she was this famous rock star. Well, not rock star, but ballet star. And she became just everybody's favorite dancer within Jazz Etc. And I'm sure outside of Jazz Etc. I always appreciated your humility.
My humiliation. I loved it when you humiliated me.
So humiliating. I can't believe I said that.
Yeah, that's Frances. That's my mom. She just was humble pie. She used to say, stay as sweet as you are, Dolly. Don't ever change. Stay as sweet as you are. And I was like, I'm sweet? Okay. I mean, I just was, I don't know, Lynn. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Anyways, I came back to it, didn't have work. This person called me and said, hey, would you like to go to Mexico? This is how Ricky got the gig in Mexico because I went to Mexico.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I went to Mexico. I went to Acapulco, which in those days, Acapulco was. You did one show a night and hung out all day long at the beach. I mean, it was
a rough life.
Really tough life. And you got paid pretty good too. And when that show closed, they asked me if I would stay on and do the costuming and find a new choreographer. So that's how Ricky got involved. I said, Ricky's coming. She brought everybody in. I had all the costumes already put together. So I lived in Mexico for about a year. And then when I came home, and then Ricky did the next show. I didn't do the show. I didn't stay. That's where Cynthia was in that show. Do you remember Cynthia?
Cynthia, yes.
Beautiful. Oh my God, what a beautiful, beautiful woman. Inside and out. Inside and out. So I came back and I called up the MGM. It wasn't Hallelujah Hollywood anymore. It was, what was the new show? The new
Jubilee?
show? Jubilee.
It was Jubilee.
It was Jubilee. You were right. Yeah. And I called up Fluff, the lady who auditioned me that time, right? The lady from that before. And I said, I don't know. This is just, it's a crapshoot. I'm just calling to see if you need anybody. I need a job. And she was like, oh, Dolly, let me talk to some people about it. Let me see what they think. Don Arden went, oh, Dolly, she's so professional. Yeah, just tell her we got a spot. We'll give her the job. I did it. It was amazing.
Wow.
And, that wasn't going to satisfy me. I'd already been featured in Mexico. I was the featured dancer and the star and I was all these people with all these hats. And now I'm going to be in the chorus going, ee, ee, ee.
And in between, can you wait tables, please?
It was just, yeah. So I was only there for a little while. I think I stayed for like 6 months. And then I went across the street to the Lido. And again, I didn't audition because everybody knew who I was, where I'd been.
Wow.
And they said, we need a vacation girl. You can just do all the spots. So that's how I learned every position in the show. And after 2 years, they're like, we want you to learn all the principal roles, learn everything. So it was just meant to be, I guess.
Wow.
And without Ricky Lugo, I really would not be where I am today. I mean, okay, that kind of sounds funny because I'm sitting in the middle of Tennessee. So that's all I mean. But I wouldn't be who I am. It's just like the song, and I was sharing that with you from Wicked, For Good. Maybe it didn't change me for the better, but for sure she changed me for good. for the rest of my life. She changed me. I mean, I'm so happy and I'm still friends with her today. You are. I mean, the people that were sincerely touched by her, and what a role model, because, I taught at UNLV for a gazillion years. And I will say this, I didn't share this while I was working there because I'm working at an institution where they want people to get a degree, right? I always thought, if you want to dance, you just have to do it, right? Study, yes, you need to study, but I don't know if you need to know the history and unless you're going to be a teacher of it or something. I mean, I never could really wrap my mind around getting a degree in dance.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so happy you said that because I struggled. My father was a school teacher, Dolly, and he's like, dance? What do you mean? No, you need to be a school teacher. I didn't want to be a school teacher. So fortunately, my mom would take me to dance and, Ricky, and then it was all over from there. It's like,
Yeah.
I will move out if I can't be a dancer. But you're so right about that.
Yeah. And I was very successful in the academic setting, very successful because, I'm a natural teacher. I like to communicate with people. And these were in the days when we actually spoke to each other.
Not looked at a phone, text.
Right. And, didn't learn it off of a video or whatever.
Right.
But it was also in the day where your professional background spoke to the academic world. And I had an international background. When I forgot to say this, that when I first came to Vegas, I was in Nevada Ballet Theater. So I was one of the founding members of Nevada Ballet. I was working at night doing this and doing ballet in the daytime. I mean, I was always doing 2 or 3 things. So when I have a studio now called Pilates Land, right? So Pilates, that's another kind of story. I brought Pilates to Las Vegas. So I'm kind of like the Pilates lady in Vegas.
Pilates Land. I just love the name. Dolly Land.
Disneyland, Pilates Land. Well, I brought Pilates, all these things I did that were just magical. It's really like, I have to say, there is a God, and God does have a plan for us. And I don't want to thump a Bible or preach, but I do know that things happen in our lives that if we just let go and just keep the focus, you'll be guided. And, by the grace of God, I was working at the Lido and I said, I'm taking 4 months off. I'm going to go to San Francisco. I'm going to learn Pilates and that's what I'm going to do. And they're like, okay. And then
we're not going to argue with you. You're Dolly. Who does that? Who does that?
Yeah. I mean, I had this great job. And this is another thing that's really interesting. When I was at the circus, they said to me, in 10 years, we're going to find you because every 10 years we redo the same act. So we're going to find you in 10 years and we're going to ask you if you want to come back. I did. Wow. I was working at the Lido and they came back and they left a message with somebody like stage, somebody, the manager or something. And after the show, I said, hey, these people are waiting for you across the street at the Riviera, which, don't try to find it because it doesn't exist anymore. That's why I have to leave Vegas because nothing is what it used to be. But, I went across the street and here comes the circus. And they went, so we want to know, you want to come back?
Wow.
And I was like, do I? And I said, it was the most amazing experience. And it was being in that circus. I had fans. I was like a superstar traveling around that teeny tiny little country that's like the size of my fingernail. And yeah, I said, I'd never done anything like that. And I'm so thankful for it, but I have to say no. And they said, we told you were going to miss us. And blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just can't because I have this great job. Tommy Toon came to the show too. And they were doing Will Rogers Follies and they needed a showgirl. And they talked to me and a couple other girls if we wanted to do it. But the money in New York was so bad. Like, why do I want to be there when I could stay here and I've got a life? So I turned it down, but one of the girls went and did it. So yeah, I mean, there was always opportunities. I think that's another message, right? I was watching Lainey Wilson, the country western singer.
Yes.
I love her. She has a new documentary. And in the documentary, she says, this, she says. It's okay to dream, but if you're going to dream, you better be prepared to do. It's not free.
Wow.
Dreaming isn't just you sit there and go, oh, one day I want to do. You can't do that.
Right. You have to take the
Dreaming
step
is
forward
have to
and
go, nope, this isn't it.
absolutely.
Go this way. Nope, this isn't it. Go that way. You just have to keep moving. You have to do. I thought that was so simple. If you're going to dream, good, but be prepared to do.
Do. Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I thought it was really quite interesting. So anyway, UNLV, I was going into Pilates. When I brought Pilates to Las Vegas, I became like this person that it was a whole nother level of, oh my gosh, I brought something somewhere that it wasn't. And I had Japan, Korea, Mexico, people from everywhere because I worked at UNLV. And so the university gave me that clout card, that trump card
Mhm.
to really, that was my thing. You're at the university. You must be legit.
Right.
And that was the next whirlwind. And while doing that, I was still dancing, but Pilates was an inspirational moment. The Japanese used to say, what did Pilates do for you? Like, why Pilates? Like, how did it change you? They're very philosophical. They always ask those kind of questions. And I love that kind of stuff, right? It's not about, you taught Madonna, you taught, yeah, all these people. I never cared about any of that. Those things, I never cared about it. They said, what was so special about Pilates? And I said, you know something? My entire life, beauty was inside of a room making an arabesque, doing a triple pirouette, putting your leg up here. That was beauty, right? So that was the ultimate of, the artistic beauty of ballet. And when I got into Pilates, it was as if I went to the front door, opened it for the first time, and looked out and saw, again, God's country. I saw a beautiful tree. I saw the
Mhm.
blue sky. Saw, like, that's beautiful. And you don't even have to spin around. It just is. So it made me appreciate just life and seeing life and even my own life because it's been so magnificent. The gifts that I've been given,
Mm.
it changed everything for me. Yeah. Pilates.
That's beautiful.
And you know what else? When you're dancing, your pirouettes are what people judge you by. Your
Mm.
high jump is what people judge you by, right?
Right.
And if we're human, so we're not perfect. And so one day you might not be able to do 3, you can only do 2. And so then you're like, No, it's a terrible,
Right.
terrible day.
Mhm. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I didn't have the technique that you had, but I remember watching you, and I always wanted to aspire to be you or Cynthia Henry as far as technique. I
Mhm.
never made it to that level. I did well in dance, but you're right about that. I never thought about that because Ricky used to teach us pirouettes, going across the floor, and yeah, that
All of
was
that
a
is
really
what, yeah, that's what
important move.
qualified you, right?
Good point.
But we are humans, so we're inconsistent. It's hard to be consistent with those fabulous tricks and things. But when you bring something to Las Vegas, it's never been there before, and you open a studio and you start to make money, I finally had confidence.
I could do 12 pirouettes now.
Right? Finally taught me that really confidence is the key. And it's hard to have confidence if you're inconsistent with things that are supposed to be an always, a consistent thing. But Pilates, I was successful and I could count how successful I was. And there was no doubt about it. So it changed. I mean, maybe people wouldn't have seen it. I mean, I really was always thinking about everything that I was doing and how it was affecting me. And I'll be honest, the only thing I was, should I say this, never really good at? Men.
Hey, I think we are related.
It's interesting. And maybe it's because my life maybe I was selfish. I don't know. I always picked somebody who needed help. Yeah, it's crazy. So my journey in dance was all over the place. And what I would say is just don't say no. And this is what I would say too about Pilates. Because it brought that international aspect, university just clamored for me. Like,
Wow.
and that I wrote 3 books in
Wow.
Japanese that were published. And so that's a whole big deal. That's how I got my job at UNLV.
I'll add the link to Dolly's books in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's
It
fascinating.
Yeah, all of that stuff makes a difference. And then I choreographed Carmina Burana at the Smith Center in Las Vegas. It was
Mm,
a giant production with 100 of this and 200 of that and UNLV dancers, and that's a big deal at UNLV. Those things count as feathers.
credibility. Yeah.
Yeah. UNLV raised me as far as academics go. It grew me up. I was there from 19 until 69. I remember my husband looking at me, and I was in one of the theaters, and he said, "Dolly, you're running around in your kicks like you're at home." I said, "I am. This is my living room," because the theater, I had been in that theater since I was with NBT, Nevada Ballet Theater, since the beginning,
Mm,
74, 75, beginning of time. So all of those things, the same people, same places, park the car, same, everything the same studio. When I became a professor, I was teaching in the studio that I took class in from the artistic director and rehearsed in for
mm,
NBT. So really, UNLV it raised me up. It adulted
mm.
me. I did all these things, but I always could come home. Could always come home to UNLV. They'd always be, "Where you been? Okay, you want to work again? Okay, come back." I mean, I
That's
was at
lovely.
Houston Ballet for a while because I didn't want to turn down the opportunity. And I told you I traveled to Russia, I traveled to Denmark, I traveled to Israel. All those things. UNLV was like, "Go, go, go."
Well, see you
Never.
when you get back.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
What a gift.
That's
They were
beautiful.
Yeah, they were really it's hard. It's hard to think because I'm really seriously thinking of leaving Las Vegas. I'm not living there anymore, and I have other places that I can go,
Mm, mm,
but leaving UNLV took me a while. And I still do some online teach some online classes for them, but it's time to go. And I really believe, and this, like another little smidgen of my logic, that I'm 70 years old and there are people that are 36 that need a job.
mm.
I don't need the job anymore. And then when you hang on, that's something about the system that I don't like. Everybody hangs on to their job too long. It's not fair. How do you, what are all these students we're teaching them? They don't get a job because we keep our job forever.
That's a different outlook on your compassion for humanity. You're correct. You're absolutely correct
Really
about that.
true. Yeah. You have to move over. There's a time,
Mm,
and you may be completely physically capable or mentally capable, but you are holding a space that another upcoming dancer who needs a job could actually take. And they deserve it. They've worked hard too, right?
So that brings me to ask you about Kenya because I'm
Oh,
so fascinated with what you want to do.
yes. So it's a little bit like Las Vegas. I've been to Kenya when I was in the Switzerland and I was in the ballet company. I went to Mombasa, Kenya for a vacation because I thought, oh, I'm never going to be in Africa ever. I'm so close now. If Switzerland's way closer, I can afford it. I'm going. So I went. That was the first time I went. And then my husband passed away and his
Hmm.
associate was a friend of mine. Funny story. She was my student at UNLV and she wanted to be a Pilates instructor. I said, "No, you're too lazy and you're too smart. You need to go to law school and I'll get you a job in law school." So she did go to law school and I got her the job. She became my husband's associate and she was like our little daughter. We raised her up in law and
Oh,
anyway, whatever. So when he passed away, I said, "For your birthday, let's go on a safari. Let's go
oh,
back to Kenya." We had a student from UNLV that had graduated and started a company called Arts for Africa.
Oh.
It's A and then number 4 and then A, Arts for Africa. And I said, I'm going to see if I can teach in the summer intensive for her. And so I'll teach for a week and we'll go on a safari for 2 weeks. You want to do it? She's like, yeah. I said, you can be my publicist. So you take all the pictures, right? And so I have like this amazing, I'm telling you, Lynn, I don't even want to go on a safari ever again because the safari I went on, I saw everything. It was like I was in National Geographic. I saw the running of the wildebeests. I don't know if you know that, it's like considered like the 8th wonder of the world. They move from Tanzania, they go across, they go down a river, and they just migrate. Nobody tells them to do it. It just happens. And you never know when it's going to happen. And it's hundreds of thousands of wildebeest, and they cross a river, and the river has hippopotamus in it and crocodiles trying to kill them, and then the zebras get caught up and they want to come across too, and then one zebra will get left behind, and then the others are on the hill going boo, boo, calling them. And then I sat in the middle of the safari park in a bench and watched them pass and eating my sandwich. It was unbelievable.
So you felt like you were in a movie?
It was really unbelievable because you don't see that. The running of the wildebeest, it's like once a year, and you got to be there right at the right time.
And you were there. Wow, at the right time.
Well, and the weather was beautiful. I got to see the Fantastic Five. They're leopards. They all hang around. The brothers. I got to see them out in the Serengeti. I got to see the hyenas steal their food from them. And they're very respectful of them because those hyenas, their jaw, when they bite, it can snap their arm and then they're over, right?
Wow.
It was amazing. Ostriches, giraffe. I saw everything. I went to 3 different parks, saw everything. So this time, I'm going back because my student, Arts for Africa, she said, Dolly, what do you think about teaching Pilates here? I'm like, I'm in.
What?
And she goes, what do I have to pay you? I go, you don't have to pay me anything. Just pay for my flight, place to stay. And she goes, do you want to go on safari? Nope, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm just there.
And they're
yeah, I don't need to do any of that. I really said, she goes, there's Pilates here, but there's no education system. So I'm going to be the first one to bring an education system to Kenya. At least I don't know what's happening in the rest of Africa, but I know there's Pilates everywhere, but I don't know that there's a system that's been in place for certification, right?
So that's fascinating.
Yeah. So I'm going to teach anatomy and Pilates mat work and reformer because she's going to purchase 2 reformers. And she said to me, she goes, we're almost full. We're almost full. So I don't know what that means. She said they're coming from Ethiopia even.
Oh, Dolly, this is fascinating. You need to have that documented. Someone needs to be filming that while it's going on. Well, you said you have your publicist.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we'll take some pictures or.
Oh, my gosh.
I just think it's another opportunity to do something exciting, right?
Yes.
And
for the people in Africa as well, in Kenya, oh my gosh, that would be such a beautiful gift.
It's in Nairobi, which is the big city in Kenya. And I don't really care about going to visit anything. There's nothing else I could want to see. I saw everything. I've seen everything. And now think about it. When I went in, I don't know, 78, 79. I don't even remember exactly which year it was. It was around that time. And I thought, well, I better get to Africa because I'm never going to get there again. And then I've now been this will be my 3rd time. I was going to go to Nigeria. And then the pandemic happened, COVID. I was asked if I wanted to come to Nigeria because they knew I was going to Kenya and she was going to come to Kenya, but then she couldn't. So she says, can you just come to Nigeria and teach us there? And I was like, okay. I was bringing the chair of my department, and right before we were going to leave, and it wasn't that the pandemic was so bad there, it's that they weren't letting you back in the States. So
yeah,
I didn't
that'd be a problem.
Yeah.
That would be a problem. Dolly, as we wrap up, what advice do you have for the younger dancers that are out there trying to make their way? Ricky had mentioned that there aren't the amount of jobs that we had back when we were training, perseverance, not to give up. What would be your advice? You've done so many things.
If you're going to dream, you better be prepared to do. That's my
Mm.
advice. Like, you can't. This girl said to me, I was at Pilates Land and she was working. She came in and I said, "How are you doing?" She goes, "I'm so tired." I'm like, "I don't care." I mean, that sounds mean, but it's like, buck up. What do you want from your life? If you
Mm.
want something, and yes, a lot of people too say to me, younger people, when I was at UNLV, they say, "Well, I want to dance, but I want to be in this company. That's what I want to do." That, and I said, "Well, that's a really great goal, but so many opportunities are going to come to you before you maybe get that opportunity. Don't shut them down, because you'll be better at whatever the ultimate goal is if you don't just sit in one place and feel sorry for yourself." I didn't ever think I was going to go to France and stay with my friend in Paris and audition for a circus. It was one of the best things I could have ever done. Yeah, so you have to say yes. You have to realize cruise ships are kind of what's happening now for
Mm.
dance. Cruise ships are happening. There's a few gigs in Vegas. Vegas is really not the entertainment capital of the world anymore. It's got the Raiders and the A's and the Golden Knights, and it's an athletic place now. We got the
Mm.
F1. It's a whole different. That's a whole different animal. There's a little bit of entertainment, but it's a whole different animal, Vegas. So there's things to do. Disney, don't be just shy about that. That's a good job.
Absolutely. We both have worked at Disney
Yeah.
dancing.
Yeah. I mean, there's the theme parks is a thing, and Disney has parks everywhere. I was in Japan because I travel there because they hold my method, and I have to go there to go and like do the big conventions, right? So I'll go and teach at one of the conventions, and one of our students from UNLV got hired at Tokyo Disney to be Ariel. So
Oh,
I got
beautiful.
on the train and I went and met her parents, who were there at the same time,
Oh,
and went to see her perform in the show. So
that's
there's things
beautiful.
to do. And there's companies. You're not going to get rich, but if you want to get rich, you might want to think of a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. You know,
Mm.
'cause,
Good
yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, art is what I think now with children dancing and the dance art or art in general. We are just trying to keep art alive, like real human art, human beings making art, not AI, not watching the perfect person do the perfect whatever, because it's not really a person, right? You're looking at a
Right,
person.
right.
So, in Vegas, there are 35 high schools or maybe more that offer dance as PE. And a lot of those people that teach those programs graduated from UNLV. That's a job. And that keeps art alive. What's wrong with that? You don't have to be a superstar. I get, texts all the time from my students, and they say, "Dolly, I don't want to be in this company anymore, but I kind of signed it a contract. I don't know what I should do." I said, "Okay, is it a pickup company? Is it a really serious company where you're getting some serious money?" She goes, "I got this opportunity to go to this other place and it's really a big deal." I said, "Go, go. If that's what you want to do, you make that choice. And yes, you go out as graciously as you can. But that person that you're leaving also knows that that's better for you. They're only being
Right.
selfish to keep you there, right?
Mhm.
So don't worry about that. But there's still companies out there. There's things out there to do, but you don't just take 2 years of dance in college and go, "Okay, I'm ready to go."
Right. You gotta take action. Absolutely. Like you
Yeah,
said, say yes. Say yes, maybe to an opportunity that wasn't on your radar,
right.
but it'll get you the experience. It'll get you to the next level. Beautiful.
And be confident.
Mhm.
I didn't learn that in time. It's too bad. I really think I could have been amazing had I had confidence.
Much more amazing could you have been? You are amazing, and you were amazing.
No, like, maybe I could have been a singer, like just a singer.
Move over, Madonna.
I don't know. It's just, I didn't have confidence. And
Mm,
it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Confidence, and if you want something, you don't give up. And like you said, say yes. What's the problem? Say yes. You don't have to stay forever. Just say yes.
absolutely. You never know where your opportunities are gonna take you to, just like Dolly, the Pilates studio, Zurich,
Yeah.
Kenya, all of these opportunities, they're out there, and just say yes.
Yes. And I mean, I ran a children's program for Nevada Ballet Theater. Did I? It was one of the most indelible things I did for 7 years, an outreach program. Those kids would come and find me at UNLV and they were grown up. I would cry my eyeballs out because they were like,
Oh,
do you remember me? This is me. I brought you these flowers. I'm now in nursing school. I'm now doing this. There are things that you would never believe could bring you such great joy and satisfaction. That maybe you just never would try, but try. Just do it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to stay. You just leave. It's no big deal.
I have to say you are right about that. And in my own life, starting a podcast, I was like, there's no way in heck, but you're correct. Someone said, just do it. So I hit publish. And here we are. I wouldn't have the opportunity to connect one-on-one with you through Ricky's suggestion. Well, maybe Dolly. I'm like, oh, okay. And here we are.
Other things that we could do together.
Absolutely.
Because we didn't even know how much we liked each other.
The world is our oyster now.
Yeah, right?
Yes, I love you. You're just a dear.
Oh,
You're so
I
sweet.
love you too. And I don't think we say that enough. And I think maybe it got said so much that people, that it lost meaning. But I think if you love somebody, you need to say it. I tell my workers, all my construction workers, every day I'll go, you guys are the best. I love you guys. 'Cause I do. It's not like a sincerely, Dolly. It's
not a sign off. It's
No.
sincere. Yeah, it is sincere.
It is
Right.
sincere. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm so happy to have connected with you. This would have never happened had you not reached out to me, had Ricky not mentioned it to me again. Like she's amazing. Coming back full circle to who we started talking about. It's amazing. And she's still touching lives. Look at us.
Absolutely. I can never thank her enough for changing my life and giving me a passion for music and dance and
how cathartic that is. Dance is, I was a little girl and I danced since I was 5, 3 because of Shirley Temple. I watched TV. I want to be that person. And dance brought me such joy.
yes.
When I was teaching at UNLV, I used to say to the students, they'd come into class and they'd be all boo-boo-faced, right? And you're going to take ballet and you got a live pianist and you got me. And you're all like, nee. And so we start and I was like, no, get out. Everybody go outside the room. What is wrong with everybody today? All the opportunity to practice art, whether you're a superstar or you have 10 children, it doesn't matter. Dance changes your heart, your soul, your mind. Dance is so magical. It really, really is. And you dance to music. I let them back in eventually. And when they came back in the room, they were better. And I said, hey, this is what we're doing. We are gifted this class today with this piano. And we're going to get to move and our heart's going to beat. And the music's going to play and we're going to dream. That's what we get to do now. That's amazing.
And when we dream, we do.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks to you. I'm so glad that I know you again.
I'm glad that you resurfaced in my life. And this is one of many opportunities. I'd love to have you on again. Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're funny. Just ask us.
Well, I think it'd be fun to go out and interview people on the street. I've wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm bold. But if you're doing it, I'll definitely be bold to do it with you.
We could get the tandem bike.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
That would be so fun.
You driving, though. I don't want to be in front.
You hold the mic in the back and then put it in my face. And then
I'll have to have a booster seat because you're really tall for me to see over.
That would be funny. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You could see. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been a lovely experience with you.
It was. I want to talk some more so we can laugh.
Okay. You got it. All right. Bye now.
Is that Lynn and Dolly? They're great.